Robin, will you please tell us something about yourself?
Okay, so my name is Robin Lovelace. I'm from Hereford, which is a small town in the west of England. And when I grew up, I think a lot of people expected me to go into the kind of pure sciences, but I was always interested in other stuff. So what's the point of doing scientific research? What's the kind of policy implications and stuff? So I got interested in the social side as well. I'm really into teaching. I'm really into sustainable transport as well, and I'm really into the methods. So how can we use general methods to better understand the world, really?
And we may be repeating ourselves here, but what are your key passions and interests at the moment, particularly within the discipline?
I think teaching is a really important aspect of the kind of academic process that a lot of people don't think about, and how people learn and what you can do to improve that. So that's something that I've been thinking about, and I think over time I've had some really great teachers and I've had some really great resources. So that's definitely something I'm passionate about in terms of geostat. In my wider life, I love cycling and I'm really into kind of being outside, and I think in a lot of jobs you spend a lot of your time inside, and it may seem like you spend all of your time on the computer, but actually getting out and experiencing stuff is a really important part of life, and that's a big important part of the Geostat conference, I'd say.
Couldn't agree more. Can you tell us, Robin, how you contribute to the R and OSGeo communities?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I'm really into communicating and passing on information. That took me a lot of time to learn. I think my first big contribution was the methodology behind my PhD was something that took me a lot of hours to learn, something quite esoteric called spatial microsimulation. And there were no resources to help really, so I had to figure a lot of it out and just program it from the bottom up. And I just thought, I wish there was a resource out there that would have helped me. So I just wrote this book, and just the method section of my PhD I turned into a book project that is now completely open access, and I've had loads of emails saying, thanks for creating this, and there's actually a guy who's come to this conference who said, I'm really glad you put that out. And that's an interesting example because I've moved on a lot since publishing that book, but it just shows that even if it's not perfect, if you get something out there and make it available, it could be useful for other people, and you don't necessarily know how they're using it. But if it's reproducible, then they can always build on what you've done.
Absolutely. Robin, can you tell us why you choose to come and teach Geostat courses and what you personally get out of it?
Well, my first Geostat was 2015, and I learned loads about computing and dealing with spatial data in Lancaster, and then I did a small amount of teaching in Albacete the next year, and then since then I've just become a kind of teacher on the course, and it's a real privilege. I think I've learned a huge amount from attending as a participant. That was just something that I wanted to give back and try and communicate stuff. I saw a lot of people struggling with spatial data, so I wanted, in a way, to give people the foundations that they could build on rather than just seeing it all as magic. So, yeah, being able to contribute that, and it's a great group of people as well.
Yeah, well, it's clear you shared not only your knowledge, but also your enthusiasm, and it's much appreciated. Robin, what do you hope that the Geostat participants will take away from any engagement they have with you or with others here at the Geostat courses?
I think that's a good question. I think Jakob summed it up well when he said that feeling part of a wider community, when you're doing research, whatever organisation you're in, you can kind of feel like you're on your own. But if you realise that there are many people who are tackling the same problems, who find things difficult, then they can take away that message that there's other people working there, and that you can communicate and you can ask for help. Specifically for me, I really wanted to make the point that it doesn't matter if things don't go perfectly the first time you run an analysis. So when people are teaching, it can sometimes seem like it always works perfectly for certain people just because they're amazing. But all of the times that things don't go right is when you learn most. So I try and portray that in my teaching style by showing, yeah, this could go wrong, let's think about changing something. So that take-home message that you're really going to have to work at something and it's okay to fail is definitely something I want people to take away from this.
And Robin, who do you think should come to these courses? Is it just for accomplished programmers and R users, or is it for anybody?
I think that's a really good question as well. I think in a way this course is ideal for people who can pick up like a load of information very quickly and then go back and disseminate it whatever community they're in. And that's kind of what I tried to do in Lancaster. I learned loads about the kind of open source geo community, and then I went back to the University of Leeds and I started putting on courses and teaching other people. So I think people who have that enthusiasm, and I think in a way that enthusiasm and ability to communicate is more important than having the programming skills at the beginning. And a lot of people just don't know what's possible. So I think people who will go to places that haven't been exposed to the open source geo methods would be ideally placed to come on this.
And what do you think, Robin? Is it all work or is it fun coming to these things?
There's a big social element. I mean, this park we're in itself is amazing. So there's a big emphasis on socializing. There's always games going on, and the community itself is really sociable. So it's definitely about a lot more than just work.
And finally, Robin, do you have any other comments or suggestions about the Geostat courses or the discipline in general that you want to share with us?
I think science overall is always about collaboration and building on what other people have done. But the incentive for academics is often to try and say, oh, I've created this from nothing. And that's a really important thing, that in reality, everyone is building on stuff, on other people's work. And Geostat teaches you how to collaborate and how to be part of a team. Like just the spatial prediction game or the visualization challenge, it encourages people to work together in groups rather than just competing with each other. And I think that's a central part of the open source community, that rather than trying to compete with someone, you try and identify where you're most needed in the community. And Geostat's a real focal point for that.
Well, Robin, thanks so much for sharing your enthusiasm and your knowledge here, and for being such a valuable part of the Geostats community.
Okay, can I make one final plug?
Absolutely. Plug away. Please do.
We've just finished presenting Geocomputation with R, which is a completely open source book that teaches loads of the things that we wish someone had taught us when we were learning R for spatial. It really builds on previous work, and we're all contributing to the wider open source community, and we've put it out there to reduce the barriers to entry into R for spatial data analysis. So check that out. If there's any way that you want to contribute, then you'll find it online. Just search for Geocomputation with R. So definitely keen to plug that.
Thanks again, Robin, and we hope to see you at the next one.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Cheers.